Alright, so this next episode we're going to be talking about the sequel to Avengers called Avengers Age of Ultron. This is a really cool comic book that it's based off of, but basically the idea is this robot that gets smart enough to start replicating itself using Tony's Iron Man suits to take over the world. So kind of cool. The Avengers get to fight kind of almost themselves in a way because the creator was actually one of them all along. What you need to know about it, this actually sets some groundwork for a lot of films. A lot of these bigger movies with all the cast, they tend to make I don't know, if each movie's kind of like a chapter, this one's kind of like a set of chapters in a way, kind of has to get a lot of other stories going. So the Avengers are all, obviously assembled. They're having a fun party, and they are celebrating a victory where they actually found Loki's scepter. Hydra had somehow got it from the Battle of New York and taken it, and so they found it. Using the technology within it, once they'll find out, but basically the Mind Stones in it, they use it to kind of figure out what it is and see if there's something they can use. Maybe they can use it as a tool. Unfortunately, the Mind Gem kind of has a mind of its own in a sense, and it whatever it did attacks Jarvis, which is the AI that Tony uses for like all of his products and all of his suits. It's basically the voice that's always inside of him. And using that, it now has a life. It has enough intelligence to replicate itself and becomes this basically army of robots using Iron Man suits and like vibranium technology that's found in Wakanda later on in the movie. So killer robots are on the loose, and they're connected by the internet, so it's going to be a very formidable foe. The Avengers basically find out that Hydra wasn't keeping that secret as well. They also were keeping these twins that were manipulated by the Mind Stone and actually been gifted abilities. So one of them is Scarlet Witch, and one of them is Quicksilver. Scarlet Witch basically just has this power of, I don't even know how you explain it. She just has energy manipulation and can like fly and shoot beams and throw balls of energy, and then Quicksilver can just run really fast. That's basically the two things that they got from it. Don't ask me why the Mind Gem gave them those powers. I have no idea. So those two are kind of playing on the bad side. But Scarlet Witch has the ability to get inside your mind and kind of make you think horrible thoughts. And so Hydra kind of deploys them to get the Avengers to kind of fight themselves or kind of fight themselves internally. And so she shows everybody a vision of their future. And so Tony sees a future where all of the Avengers die except for him. And Cap says, like, you could have saved us, but he doesn't. This is clearly a foreshadow of like what's to come in the future. And this is going to really cause Tony's like decision-making to be hindered because of what he sees in this. Whether it's real or not, he thinks the end is coming, and he doesn't know what it is, when it is, and where it's coming from, but he just knows that it's coming. Cap gets shown a cool vision where what happens when he doesn't have a fight, a war to fight, and he realizes that is Captain America still Captain America if he isn't fighting? And it makes him challenge, oh no, what am I fighting for? Thor sees the death of all of his planet and his people, and he's given no context why that's happening. And then Black Widow, you just get a little bit more of her background story. That's all you need to know. It doesn't really play a significant role in the future films. So they fight Ultron. Basically, he creates this machine that will lift a giant city into the sky. And then once it reaches a certain point, he'll turn it off, and then that city will gain enough momentum that it'll basically be like a meteorite hitting Earth. That way he can wipe humanity out, and the robots can reign. And so the Avengers are on a time crunch, and they have to save people. Eventually, they're able to recruit Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who thought they were bad at first. They gained their trust and got them to help. The other thing that gets created in this is once the Mind Stone is... There's a lot of stuff in this movie, I'm sorry. This one you do have to actually like know what's going on. The Mind Stone in the scepter gets extracted. Ultron wants to make a synthetic like body for him, so he's no longer just a robot, but is actually like a being. And that process gets stopped midway and taken over by Thor, where Thor basically powers it up and lets it become an independent entity that's not Voltron and not Jarvis, but something in between. And it becomes this guy we know as the Vision. And he'll be like this robot who has the stone in his head, and he's able to use it, hopefully for good. At first, the Avengers are like, whoa, what's going on? Is this guy good? Is this guy bad? But they were able to recruit him and get him on their team. And it is the same voice as Jarvis, so it's kind of cool. Paul Bettany, who was in all the other Avengers movies as Jarvis's voice, is now playing a character, so it's kind of a cool version of the character. At one point, Vision, because we don't really know, he's made out of vibranium and he has the Soul Stone. He's so powerful, we don't really know exactly where he's at. He at one point hands the hammer of Thor to Thor, and no one can lift Thor's hammer except for Thor. So it just kind of is like, whoa, this guy is a real deal. So they take the fight to Ultron before the city crumbles, and they defeat him. They get all of them destroyed, and then Nick Fury shows up at the end and gets all of the people that are on the floating city to safety. Then the city comes crashing down, and they're able to blow it up, so the damage is minimal. I mean, as minimal as a floating city in the sky can be. And then this will start to set the roots of Civil War, which will come up here in a couple movies. The only other thing you need to know is Quicksilver dies saving Hawkeye, so Scarlet Witch kind of gets tormented a little bit, and that causes her powers to not be 100% efficient because she's dealing with the death of her brother and some other things. But yeah, that should be enough for you to know what happens in Age of Ultron. So, thanks.